It looks like the short sellers are starting to get a little nervous here on AMC. So in today's video, we're building the case for why we believe next week there's strong potential for AMC to reach prices of almost $52, but anywhere from a price of $48 to $50 is what we believe AMC has a strong potential of reaching, at which point it's going to generate around a 17 to maybe 18% gain. So in today's video, we talk about gap fills, moving averages, trend, patterns, and we're going to take a look at the options chain. Now, I'm not the biggest options trader, but I believe I've noticed some very unusual options activity in the AMC market. So if any of you guys are really big options traders or know a lot about that more so than me, maybe you can chime in the comment sections below, or at least maybe find value or say, yeah, this is actually something to pay attention to. So let's jump right into this video. So the first and foremost thing I want to talk about is normally what I follow. So what I follow is typically going to be the trend system, which is standard deviation. So in a nutshell, the market just basically trades all the way through these lines all the time, very commonly going back to them, up and down, back and around. So right now, we're expecting this market on AMC is breaking up and trying to target back to $47.86, which is just that trend line right there. And if we change this to a 4-hour time frame, it gives us another trend line to also look at, which is right here, price at 51.11. So that's why I was talking about the potential for a 17% return, or the potential to go to 48 to maybe 50, even $52, I guess, because we have long-term statistical trend there. And it's very common to see stocks trade back and forth to their statistical mean. Now, since it's been trading for the past couple months, it's no longer looking like it did in the past, which is when this move jumped here and topped, this white trend line was right there. When the market created this flag pattern and broke up, this top was that same white trend line. It was right there. So if we can get a nice true flag break, we should be targeting back to there. And then if that all happens, we will most likely sell down, and you'll start to see sort of that same pattern where we went up and then we had selling pressure. We go up and we're gonna have selling pressure. And inevitably, what this can actually be doing is creating a very long-term flag pattern that we are essentially trying to break up above those statistical mean prices. Once we do, we should have a bigger breakout. So for right now, I do believe it makes most sense to be following AMC extremely bullish next week with a minimum price target of about 48, like $47, $48 is my first expected long target, where in the event we get to, we might then see stronger selling pressure. So before I continue going on further, I would first like to talk to you guys about what we have seen progress on AMC over the past couple days. We're specifically going to talk about that, that's a little big. We don't need to have the drawing that big. We're going to talk about this top right there. We're going to talk about this top right here. We're going to talk about the breakout that happened right there. Okay? So what we need to do is first change this time frame over to a 4-hour chart. When we change to the 4-hour chart, you will see the standard deviation, half deviation trend. When AMC spiked up to here. It got a little excited and blew through this trend a little bit, but you can see it came back down, held below. And then recently, we have broken back up right to that same trend line, and now we're having resistance. So this is a little intermediate trend resistance, and when we can surpass this trend is when we are breaking out to target the next trend above, which again is located at 5111 or at 47. So we're gonna manually add 2 levels here at 5113, and we're gonna manually add one here on the daily chart at 4786. Whenever you guys follow my morning show or any of my posts on YouTube, typically we're always talking about a price zone target. That's because of these 2 red lines added. We would typically say the price target for AMC next week, in the event we truly break above the $42 price, is going to be a move into 47.86 to 51. If you look left, there is also a gap to be filled in this market. If you look at this daily chart time frame, there is a gap on AMC from 44.18 down to 43.43. So there is still this portion of the chart that has yet to be filled. So it is my belief that the markets are minimum going to try to fill this gap, but more or less we are trying to break over previous price action resistance that is located at 41.69. So we break 41.69. Let me rephrase. Take a step back. Resistance really isn't 41.69. It looks like it's 41.69 because all the candles are topping out there. Remember, the reason the candles are topping out and the reason the candles are pulling back in this area is because the 180-day 4-hour trend has its long-term statistical mean price there. That's why it topped, and that's why it's topping here. So yes, we want to clear previous price action levels because that's where most traders watch, but in reality, it's about getting past the dotted white statistical trend that really is confirming the full breakout in the move. So now what we want to take a look at is the daily chart. What we have just covered is how we found these tops in this move. Now I want to show you how you could have predicted the breakout being right here. So when we change this back to a daily chart, you're going to be looking for the dotted white line again. When we change to this chart time frame, you'll see the dotted white line exists right here. When we overlap that, you will see that that ends up being the exact level that AMC breaks out before running up to its next statistical trend. Change to the 1 minute, or we'll do a 5-day 15-minute. There's that white trend line. There's your breakout. It's not about breaking over a previous high. It's about crossing the statistical means or crossing statistical levels. Okay? So now let's go back to the 180-day. So once the market, well, hold on. Actually, we're going to go to the 1 year, 1 day. Once the market breaks through that trend and you have taken your entry, once you have taken your entry on the breakout and you go, awesome, I'm in the trade, don't panic, don't freak out. Calm. Where should it go next? Well, if it's a true breakout and we're on the Ripper Magoo, it should at least go to its next closest statistical long-term trend, which can normally be found on the 180-day 4-hour chart. So we go to the 180-day 4-hour chart. And there you have it. There is the long-term statistical trend. The other day, on Friday, this was priced almost at 42 exactly. So we look back, 5-day, 15-minute, and think to yourself that before the weekend, this trend line was really right about there. So market breaks long-term statistical trend here, trends up to next long-term statistical trend. Okay? So you will apply this Same concept, just on a bigger scale going forward into next week. You will now watch for AMC going forward into next week like this. For one, we need the market to break this trend line. Number two, the market may pull back 1 or 2 days and try to support this trend. Our targets will be the green trends. Remember, once the market broke this trend, you target that trend. When we break this trend, there's no trends until these trends. These trends are just over a gap fill. Markets like to fill gaps. They're inconsistencies. So we see a potential big move up to our next trend, while there's also a gap to be filled in the market. Very interesting. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. Also, if you see this red line is the 50-day moving average. That means AMC is back over the 50-day moving average, held it as support 2 times. So it's starting to mount the 50 exponential daily moving average. Okay? Now, I just want to talk to you guys about the little pattern that was in here. Yes, there was a bull flag that supported right over the 100 exponential moving average, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, bull flag breaks that trend that was right there, squeezes to the next trend. We want to see this break and have continuation all the way into 51.11 to 50 or 48. So that really covers most of the analysis side of AMC. Now, I actually want to take a look at the volume. So if you guys are interested, keep sticking around. Now, I kind of want to take a look at the volume because we're seeing increased buying volume over this last couple weeks with a lot of, past couple weeks with a lot of buying pressure. So let's just look at the volume really quickly. And we're going to use a 1 year, 1 day chart. So if we simply just look at this bottom, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green days here, excuse me, and 1, 2, 3, 4 red days. Now, if we look at the volume, you will see that clearly the sellers had control as this market was going down, but when we had that big green day here, the volume beat out the previous sellers, so buyers are back in control. Then we go to red, but the red does not beat out the previous green. So red does not go above previous green. Buyers are still in control. We come down, green, 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 green. Red does not beat green, so buyers still in control. Green outbeats red, so regardless, buyers still in control. Red does not beat green, buyers still in control. Green beats red, green, green, green. Buyers are in control of the current move you see on AMC. All right, now I want to go on to the final piece, which again, I'm not entirely positive about, but I thought it would be interesting to see if there was anything in the options market that would line up with my analysis. Remember, it's already my belief before looking at the options market, and I did this last night at like 12:30. I'm looking at AMC and I'm going, all right, I have a projected move to, maybe basically $50 next week. Anywhere from 48 to 50, 52. I have a projected move next week. I think we can go there. So if I'm as smart as I think I am, well, shouldn't the options chain then say, hey, there might be a move to that area too, right? If we're going to have an explosive move, and wouldn't you assume that someone somewhere out there in the options market could see that already and expect it's going there? So that was my assumption. So I decided to take the time to at least go through the TD Ameritrade options chain for AMC. So for those of you that are more experienced on options, please chime in. I would love to hear your comments or any suggestions or just what you think, if you think it's anything or not. So I went through the, the option chain that just expired, so that doesn't matter. So we go into next week's option chain. AMC, October 21st, or 21, obviously, 22. You're going to scroll down, and as soon as you get to the $52 calls, you're going to see there's an open interest of 17,000. So next week, Friday, this option chain, these options, they're going to be gone, going to expire. But there's open interest, 17,000 calls for a price of 52. Before looking at this, my analysis had already pointed to a projected move, maybe next week, maybe in a week and a half, but if we're going to break out here above this 42 level next week, the move is going to go to 47.80 or it's going to go to 52. I'm not lying, right? If we're actually breaking out, that's the resistance. This gap fill is not resistance. This isn't nothing. No, that is resistance. This zone in my current long target / resistance zone, where we would expect new selling, exists from 48 to 51.11. Next week, if AMC even goes up $3 a share, this trend line will go up too, which at that point by Wednesday, this trend line's probably at $52. Ironically enough, there's 17,000 open interest calls for 52. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. But I'm just a guy sitting here drinking coffee, loading up my pipe and smoking hopium every day. So I hope you guys are on the hopium train with me. I really love to see this thing explode. So with that being said, I do appreciate you guys tuning in with me. We do have another video coming out later today with another stock we think has great potential. So if you like this analysis, make sure to tune in later today as we post that video. Should be another pretty good one. Thanks guys. I'll see you on the next one.